Welcome to our video presentation for part 3 of the Frank Goon reference collection. I feel we're now completing the circle with a certain amount of sadness. I've known Frank for several decades now, and we've sold him some lovely notes, and he's acquired notes from sources all over the world. I've enjoyed seeing his book come out to give a fantastic testament to the breadth of the collection. We've had 2 sales in Singapore. We're now coming up on March the 22nd at 6 o'clock at the Marina Bay Sands Convention Centre. We'll be selling part 3, which is the final part of Frank's wonderful collection, and if you like, a completion of the circle. We will be displaying the collection online. It's online at the moment, looks fantastic. The catalogue is coming out. Anyone who wants to receive a catalogue, please let us know. We will be attending, obviously, the Singapore Coin Show, and we will also be represented at the Kuala Lumpur Coin Show the weekend before the auction. So hopefully we'll be seeing our friends there, and any questions you might have about notes in the collection, we'd be delighted to help you. We start the auction as usual with the private banks of Singapore, Malacca, Penang, Kuala Lumpur. All these notes are extremely rare, mostly 19th century. Anything 19th century is always hard to find, with a fine mixture of specimens, colour trials, issued notes. I think my personal favourite in the private banks is the Malacca $25. A $25 is always a fantastic denomination to have. And Malacca, it's just like a magical name. How many banknotes can you get from Malacca? So that's probably my favourite of the private banks. There are also issued and specimen notes from Penang, Singapore issues, and a rather fascinating one from Kuala Lumpur, Kuala spelt K-W-A-L-A. Anyway, it's a fantastic group, and I hope it will receive the attention it deserves. We then move into the straight settlements. A wonderful selection of notes as usual here, with a fine selection of specimens, photographs of notes that never were, archival photographs, issued notes. One of my favorites, I think, there are so many to mention, but the specimen $50 of 1916 in gorgeous condition, PMG graded 63. Well, that's an unbelievable grade for this part of the world. But beautiful blue and white note with a portrait of George V and a prowling tiger underneath, an iconic design. We also have a specimen $10,000 of 1919. It's actually mind-boggling to think what $10,000 would have bought you in 1919, probably half of Orchard Road. Anyway, a fantastic note. There's a lovely $10 of 1925, again, not in itself a rare note, but PMG 53, try and find one. As usual, there's a fine selection of the $1, $5 and $10 to follow. The average condition is fantastic, and I think really a wonderful group of straights notes to end that particular section of the auction. We then move on to Sarawak. It's very difficult to get anything from Sarawak. We open the section with a 10 cents of 1861. 1861 for Sarawak is almost unheard of. We have a beautiful selection of portrait notes, including Charles Johnson Brooke, one of the early Rajas. We have a $10 of 1900, a $5 of 1897, and a wonderful $5 of 1918. We then move on to a lovely group of high denomination issues. All high denomination Sarawak notes are hard to find, all dated 1929, with a portrait of Charles Viner Brooke. We then move from Sarawak to Borneo. Any collectors of notes of this area will realise or know that the banknotes of Borneo generally turn up, if they turn up at all, in quite poor condition. They were not printed by De La Rue or Perkins. They were printed mostly by Skipper and East. The quality of the printing isn't quite so good. However, in nice condition, they really are much sought after. I think my favourite for Borneo, we've got an absolutely beautiful $25 of 1926 most of the notes featuring Mount Kinabalu at the centre. It's a very topical design. And I would stress the condition of the Borneo notes is so far above average. It's a fantastic group of banknotes. Malaya, that's the next country. Obviously, Malaya, there is much more available over the years from Malaya, and Frank has managed to put together a fantastic group. We have multiple highlights. There is a wonderful $1,000 George VI of 1942, a purple note, and I think possibly one of the top notes, if not the top note in the auction, a truly magnificent issued $1,000 of 1953 with a fantastic portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, graded by PMG 55 EPQ, which is a staggeringly high grade, and to get an EPQ on any note of this type is remarkable, basically. So if I had to pick a note in the auction that I really think should attract the most interest, the $1,000 of 1953 would probably be that note. We also have a lovely group of colour trials and essays for Malaya and some photographic essays. Again, the printers would take photograph of notes that they were thinking of producing. Quite often they never happened. So as a record of something unique and fascinating, the photographs are well worth thinking about as well. We then move on to Malaysia, obviously a more modern notes, but a wonderful collection again, a lot of issued notes, a lot of specimen notes, and some unique and outstandingly attractive essays for issues of Malaysia that never actually happened. We then move into Singapore. Again, a lovely series of banknotes. You've got the orchid notes, the ship notes, the bird notes, lovely designs. My particular favourite here, we have a truly beautiful and unique group of hand-finished composite essays of the bird series, featuring birds for Singapore that never actually appeared on banknotes. So if you know what the ordinary notes look like and you see one of these, the change is remarkable. And they are all unique and all absolutely lovely. If I had the money, I'd probably buy some of these myself. A special note, I think, also to mention here, we have a replacement $10,000 of 1980 with a magnificent white-bellied sea eagle flying across a view of Singapore in PMG graded 50. I mean, if you want a handsome banknote, the $10,000 eagle is really a magnificent piece of paper. We finished the sale with a colourful selection of Brunei notes. The Brunei notes may not be as old or as rare as some of the other countries, but they hold their own. They're an attractive group of notes. Again, a good selection of specimens and issued notes, and I think hopefully a fitting end to the auction. So as I said at the beginning of my piece, this is the final part, the part 3 of the Frank Goon reference collection. It's been a journey for everybody, and I hope everybody has enjoyed it as much as we have. And I wish you luck in the auction, and I look forward to seeing you in either Kuala Lumpur or Singapore. Thank you very much indeed.